Welcome, everyone, to the I'm Not Dumb But podcast. I'm your host for today, Victor, joined always by Rob.
Hello.
And Chris.
Yo.
So, guys, give me a movie that you absolutely love.
I would have to say Top Gun.
I had the shot. There was no danger, so I took it.
For me, it's James Bond, 007 series.
The whole series?
Yes, I love the whole series, yes.
Who's your favorite James Bond?
Tomorrow Never Die. That's one of my favorite one.
Pierce Brosnan?
Yeah.
Is that the one with the Koreans?
Maybe. If I remember. I think it was
Chris.
Come on. You're just
I love that
we
one.
had Koreans in there.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why, but
We made it.
And we're not the bad guys. Wait. Are we?
Are we? Wait. I think it's something with the North Koreans, isn't it? Wasn't it?
No, actually, I was wrong. Sorry. Tomorrow Never Dies is the one with Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah. We knew there was something there.
Yeah, there's got to be something there.
So you live to die another day.
Have you ever thought about the people behind the scenes? Like, the names on the credits. Like, what do they do and how important are they? Or, like, how did the movie even start?
I always thought producers and directors are same person. Is it? No?
I don't think exclusively, no.
But other than that, I know there's like a sound engineers, right? Other than that, I have no idea.
There's a janitor.
Right?
Yeah. The only time I wait for the credits is if I know there's something after the credits. I want to see like the guy punching the bag at the end. I'm like, all right, there's a sequel coming. And then
The
I'll just
Marvel
pick
has
out,
warped your mind.
Yes, I need something at the end, And then I just wait to see like, oh, who was waiter number 2? I just want to know who waiter. The guy looked familiar.
With us in the studio today is screenwriter and producer Michael Box. Over 15 years, he has written or co-written over 10 screenplays, short stories, and TV pitches. Mike co-founded Echo Eterna Productions, operating out of Dayton, Ohio, and is here to help us answer the question, I'm not dumb, but who's Michael Box?
Welcome to the I'm Not Dumb But podcast, where we won't claim to have the answers to life's deepest questions,
but we'll give you an exciting journey
into the realms of knowledge you never knew you needed.
Might be mainstream,
but not common knowledge. From artificial intelligence to conspiracy theories, no topic is too taboo for us to explore. Let's get curious together.
Mike, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
How are you today?
Good? I'm really good. Thanks for asking. That's a great thing to ask.
So you've been writing for some time now, like how many, like 15 years?
Well, I've always wanted to be a writer. So like when I was in high school, I was editor of the yearbook, the newspaper, the literary magazine. I actually was going to go to school on a journalism scholarship, and things took a different long approach to get back to that. But here I am again. So my writing partner, Patrick, he and I have been writing together for about 15 years, but we've known each other about 25 years. We started with music together. I'm a bass player and guitarist. He's a drummer. We played together in a couple bands. And
oh, nice.
So we've been working collaboratively for 20 plus years.
Oh, wow. And so when did you get that first feeling of like, hey, I need to be like a storyteller?
I come from a family of Scotch-Irish people. And so storytelling's genetic.
So it was like storytelling or making Guinness. Like
or fighting.
Or fighting, yeah.
Prove me wrong, I dare you. We always joke that like we put the funk in family function. Everybody has to have a little bit of alcohol in order to keep from just obliterating each other.
It's your natural habitat. Like you need to get into it.
Well, yeah. I mean, the my generation does. Like my parents' generation, none of them were drinkers.
Really?
No. So I think the kids just all realized how awful that has to be all the time to be. But no, we have a good time. Our family's not as close as we used to be, but we grew up all within like an hour of each other at one point. Yeah, but as far as writing goes, I always wanted to be a writer. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Almost Famous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's a Cameron Crowe movie. I was a writer before I was a musician, but I was always a music lover, and so I had this like crazy idea that I wanted to be a writer who followed bands and wrote about them did the whole Rolling Stones article thing. And this was, quite a bit older than you guys. I graduated in 94. So this was before Almost Famous came out. So when that movie came out, I was like, this is me.
This is my journey.
This movie's, this is about me.
This was supposed to be me. Yeah.
Right. So when I got to college, I kind of fell into the artsier, musically inclined crowd. And I started playing guitar and really fell in love with music, learned how to appreciate music for more than just its pop culture influence, but appreciate it more on a music theory side, writing music, that kind of thing. But the writing was always a part of it. It was always there. I wrote for the local newspapers. I've written for a few magazines, and it was just one of those things where it took reconnecting with that seed of wanting to be a writer in order for me to get back into it. Patrick had a screenplay that he was focused on producing himself, and he knew that I was a writer, and he was like, "Hey, do you mind reading over this?" It was about 300 pages. So if you know anything about screenplays, it's usually a page a minute. Wow.
Okay.
So he was writing an epic movie. So I helped him pare that down. And once we realized that we worked really well together in that area, we were able to pare it down to about a 90 to 100 page screenplay, and we decided to film it. And that was our first project together. We shot, it was called A Savior Come My Way. It was a time traveling story about a man desperate to do whatever he could to help his family. And we shot it on 16 millimeter film, which was ambitious for our first feature. Okay. And we looked at that as our student film. That was our film school. We learned a lot about running a set, working with actors, working with the crew.
Was that your first experience in that kind of world? Like, was your partner already in it?
He was a music video producer and director at the time.
Okay. So
he was familiar with filmmaking on a short form kind of medium. But like I said, we learned how to work really well together. We learned what his strengths were, what my strengths were. I'm a writer producer. He's a director cinematographer. And so it makes for a really good partnership because I can keep him focused on his tasks where he has the vision of where to go creatively. I tend to want to put the words in the actors' mouths. I really like writing dialogue where he likes to really write action lines. And so we work really well together in that way.
Yeah. Writing is one of those things where like sometimes I don't even know where to start because I've started trying to script what I say. I feel like the episodes just come out way better, but
they do. Like not from listening to you guys, not from experience, but like every podcast that I listen to, you can tell when it's a scripted podcast or when it's just an ad-libbed, like let's shoot the shit podcast. The written scripted podcasts tend to go so much smoother. They stay on point.
I that's what I felt like. It was so much more structured.
Right.
Yeah. And writing dialogue it's tough because I'll be like, oh, this is exactly how I would say it. And then I say it and I go, I don't talk like that. Or no one talks like that.
Completely different. Yep.
Yeah. Some of my favorite dialogue writers are guys like Aaron Sorkin, who wrote Social Network screenplay. Yeah. Or Quentin Tarantino. They write dialogue in a hyper realistic way. So it's similar to how other people talk. You've heard people talk like that, but not in that way. They don't talk over each other. They don't stutter when they speak. They don't pause and start and then pause again. It's quick, rhythmic writing. Mm-hmm. And it's just one of those things that it's a craft to be able to write that way. And it takes a lot of time learning what your style is as a writer to make it work.
Now, when you're writing dialogue for, let's say, different characters, do you find it tricky to not bring your own voice into both characters or multiple characters?
Every character that Pat and I have written, something about that character is a part of us, each of us. Our current project, it's about musicians, and they each represent us in certain ways. I tend to like to put a specific personality trait and assign that to a character. So one of the characters in our project, his name's Lucas, and he's very anarchist, kind of punk, fuck the man, damn the system. That is definitely me when I was 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. I had that same kind of anti-authority vibe. And, another one of our characters, Weston, is kind of a idealist dreamer with dreams of, being an artist that people respect and recognize for his talent. And that's Pat. Pat has that same vibe about him. So it's really easy when you ascribe a certain characteristic, a certain personality trait of yourself on that character. It's really easy for you to write in that way. But it's also fun to write a character who's not anything like you. The character you wish you could speak like or act like or talk like. It's fun to write those characters because they're a challenge. It doesn't come naturally for me to write somebody who's just a huge asshole, because I'm not an asshole. I mean, like those who know me know that I'm not an asshole, even though like my personality is typically a little bit like, just give me some space, I'm an introvert by nature. I have to turn on the extrovert. And so to write an asshole is really difficult sometimes, because I'm like, all right, I don't like this guy.
Right.
Yeah. Though I hear for actors that it is more fun to play the bad guy asshole type.
It is. You see it, like actors who really just chew up the scenery when they get a meaty character who's just like really well-rounded, but like not very likable. Like Daniel Day-Lewis, when he played Daniel Plainview in There Will Be Blood, like nobody really likes that character. That character's a total asshole, but
not a good person.
No, a terrible person. But he had a great time playing that role. You could tell, it was just
maybe too good.
Probably. Yeah.
He is method. He is method,
and he is one of the best actors who's ever lived. He has 3 Academy Awards,
That's true.
I drink your milkshake.
Do you ever go back to your old dialogue and you'd be like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah. Like, that is garbage, or you learn something about yourself in that time and you go, I would never write that now.
Yeah.
That joke doesn't land. That joke is so sexist, chauvinist, bigoted. Like, why would I have ever written that? That's gross. and now you're like, oh man, like I was so free.
Right.
I was so unencumbered.
I mean, that's also a sign of just like the times changing. So it's like you've written something for that period of time.
Absolutely.
Of how people's society is. And then now you're here.
Yeah.
And you're like, now I have to shift.
Oh yeah.
My audience is kind of shift.
Absolutely. And, it's fun to write, a shifting mindset in mind. The project that we're currently working on, it's called Speakeasy. I don't know if I've actually said the name of it yet.
No, not yet. I was going to ask you what you're currently
It's called Speakeasy. It's about a renegade band of punk musicians who are living in a near future dystopian society where the government is suppressing acts of self-expression as political dissent. And so they're...
so 2 years from now?
Yeah, exactly. Like just this week maybe. But they basically have to go underground to perform, and they're at risk of being raided by the government enforcers. And it's a really dark story. But at the same time, it's full of like fun moments because they're a punk band and they have a good time. And, they make a lot of stupid decisions, but but they're in their 20s. Everybody made stupid decisions in their 20s, no matter what the political environment was.
No, not at all. So you've been writing and you telling a lot of stories. So like, tell me, did you understand Tenet?
Did I understand Tenet? The 5th time I watched it, well, see, here's the thing. Any of you guys diagnosed ADHD?
No, not diagnosed at least.
Okay, no.
Undiagnosed.
Everybody's self-diagnosed. Yeah.
Self-diagnosed.
Self-treating. I am self-treating.
Okay, so I was diagnosed in my 40s, which when I was diagnosed, I was like, holy shit, this would have been helpful to know when I was in elementary school.
Right.
Because of that, I've noticed certain things about the way that I consume media. And one of those is I love listening to music with headphones on.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like I get the mix that the producer was trying to go for. I get it so much better. If they were playing with the stereo sounds, I feel like I feel that better. So one of the ways that I watch movies, and a lot of people do this now, I think, but I watch everything with captions on.
I just started doing that, actually.
And so with Tenet, it's almost necessary because the audio is so awfully mixed.
Yeah.
I feel like a director on that level, like Nolan's level, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he puts a lot of detail into everything that he does.
Right. So I feel like he knew that it was being mixed in a weird way. So maybe the dialogue's not as important as what's going on screen, but I feel like I need to know what's going on in the character's mind. And so I watch everything with the dialogue or with the captions on.
Well, I also just wanted to bring up the point of that. Just like, do you feel that if someone misses the point of the movie or what you're writing, like, is that something that you take internally, or do you just like, nah, the viewers are just not getting it?
I think that you have to look at it as art. And art is something that everybody interprets differently. Yeah. And so I can look at a painting and go, oh, that is really sick. I'm really into this. And my wife can look at it and go, yeah, that's boring. I don't feel anything from that. And I think that with movies, it sounds pretentious to say movies are art, but they are. They're a form of art.
Yeah, it's a form of expression.
Absolutely. And I think that, like I said, everybody interprets a movie differently. Some people look at a movie like Mother. I don't know if you guys have seen Darren Aronofsky's Mother. Javier Bardem was in it with
Jennifer Lawrence.
Great movie, panic-inducing, heart attack, anxiety type movie, and it's an endurance test. But a lot of people just didn't feel like it was a successful story because it was so heavy on the metaphor. But I feel like that's part of putting out art is you let people experience it. If they enjoyed it or they didn't, I hope they felt something. If they didn't like it, I almost want to hear why. Like what about this made you feel either nothing or you didn't appreciate it the same way I expected you to? I want to know why. Not because I need to defend it, but because I'm seriously curious. What did you feel? Was it just ambivalence or was it more like, oh, I'm confronted by something about myself that I don't like, and so that makes me not like this, which can happen with a lot of art.
When you start your first drafts, is it like pen to paper when you start off, or is it digital?
I like to write pen to paper to start a draft, but I gather a lot of notes in my phone. I'll have a scene idea or a piece of dialogue that I'm like, I really need a character to say this. And then I'll write a scene around that piece of dialogue. But that being said, when I sit down to write a first draft, I really want that tactile feel of pen on paper. It just feels good to me.
That just might show your age.
Yeah, definitely.
No, because I feel the same way. Like sometimes I just like to write things down and scribble.
Yeah, and I do scribble a lot, and I doodle while I'm thinking. And Pat, my writing partner, he keeps little moleskin notebooks in his pocket all the time, and he writes down stuff all the time. He probably has about 60 or 70 of them that he's filled up during our time together. Wow. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
He's firing in all cylinders all the time.
He is. He does. I don't know when the guy sleeps. So he'll text me at like 2 a.m. and he'll be like, "Hey, I just had this idea." I'm like, "Dude, you should be sleeping."
Where's like the weirdest place that you were where an idea just popped into your head and you're like, I got to do this?
My wife and kids joke about the fact that I have my phone on a perch in the shower all the time because I will get an idea while I'm in the shower, and I'll be like, so one of the things that I have a problem with is I'll get great ideas that I'll be like, this is such an incredible idea. There's no way I'll forget about it. I will,
yeah, it's gone.
It's gone instantly. I'll be laying down in bed. I'll be like, oh, it's so good. I'll definitely remember this in the morning.
It's gone.
Nothing. Yeah.
I was talking to somebody who's also into writing, and when they're trying to develop the character, they would live a day as this person. They would think as this person. Do you find yourself doing that?
Yeah.
Like walking around like this guy would do this, or he would walk into this coffee shop like this.
Is he method writing?
Yeah, method writing. Not particularly for me. I tend to be an introvert when I'm out in public, and so I spend a lot of time at a coffee shop just watching other people. And that's like, I'll get ideas. Like, I wonder what that guy was doing before he walked in here. I bet he looks like he was like all disheveled and maybe like flushed. I bet he was in a fight with somebody, like he was arguing with somebody. And so I'll build a scene out of like something that probably didn't happen. He's probably just red-faced all the time. But yeah, I just like to think like what was going on in that person's life 5 minutes ago, and then, try to build that story in my head.
So you and your partner, you guys have a production company, right?
Yeah. Echo Eterna Productions. We launched on 2/22/22. It was mostly because we were working on this project and we wanted to incorporate as an LLC and build the company so that we can hopefully start working with some investors. We've been pitching to investors for this project for about 6 months. It's a really difficult process to get people to buy into an indie film.
Yeah. How does that whole process work? Like, so do you go out? Like, do you like make a little sample for them? Do you have to film the whole thing and then pitch it? Like,
some people do a proof of concept film, so like a short film. Maybe a scene tells us a little bit about the story. In hindsight, that would have been really great for us, but we didn't go that route. We did a fundraiser, like a local fundraiser, where we had companies, some businesses in the area. They donated some items. We did an auction where some of the props that I've been building, we auctioned those off, and they'll be used in the film and then signed by the cast and then given to the people who bought those for auction. And then we got companies that donated gift bags, and we raffled those off. We had a friend of ours owns a wine bar in Dayton, and she hosted it for us. And it was really successful. It helped us. It basically funded our production costs for the year.
Nice.
But, that was in March of last year. It didn't get us filming. It basically helped us to launch. It was, seed money. Some people go the route of crowdfunding, but you can only ask your friends and family for
so much, right?
for $50 so many times before they're like, "You're a nuisance."
Yeah, Grandma, come on,
get a real job.
All you got?
This is for next
Get a real
Christmas.
job, moocher. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Grandma, have you done your will yet? Is there any way I can get an advance on the will?
How old's this vase, by the way? You don't need it, right?
I need some money.
I mean, the old school way was you just took out an extra mortgage on your house, or you maxed out your credit cards, or like Kevin Smith, when he financed Clerks, he maxed out credit cards. He sold a huge comic book collection, and he still made that movie for like $25,000, which, I mean, honestly,
granted, it was a long time ago, though.
Yeah,
so
inflation.
$20,000 got you inflation.
Like 94, 93.
Yeah.
You can make a movie for that much now, but you don't want to make a movie for that much. Not a full length, production. And ours is ambitious. We're writing all of the music ourselves. So the band is playing actual original songs that we've written. We have some musician friends in the Dayton music scene and the Cincinnati music scene who are contributing songs for like side character musicians who are playing in the same venues as our main characters. And we cut a vinyl for that. Everybody who bid on, or everybody who won an auction item got a free vinyl to go with that at our fundraiser. Just like a thank you for that. Yeah, it was it's a fun. We like tying in stuff like that. I printed Speakeasy guitar picks and like threw those out. They were everywhere. People could just take those home with them. I made Speakeasy flasks that I
and what like of the portion that you have to fundraise, like how much percentage wise like would go to marketing versus the actual production of the film?
For a Hollywood production, almost like if they had $100 million budget, about 50 million will also be added to that to go into marketing and commercials and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So when you hear a film was successful, you have to consider how much they also put into the marketing campaign.
Mm-hmm, right.
You know, it could be a huge marketing campaign. I know Marvel puts a ton of money in their marketing. They do tie-ins with fast food businesses and movie theaters, but they also get huge tax credits for filming in places like Ohio, which has a great film tax credit.
Does it?
Yeah, that's why a lot of the Marvel stuff is filmed up in Cleveland and then over in Pittsburgh.
Oh, I thought they were down in Georgia.
Yeah, no, like a lot of the cityscape stuff, DC stuff, they also film in Cleveland and in Pittsburgh. Just because I think Pittsburgh has a really great film scene as well. We have two of our actors on Speakeasy are from the Pittsburgh area. One's from New York. He's a musician in Brooklyn. One's from the Nashville area, and the two of them are here from Ohio. And we've got a couple other people. We got one woman, young woman. She's from Atlanta, Georgia, and so we've got a lot of people from all over the place that are already excited, ready to go. We just need to get the funding. And that's, like I said, that's the hard part. We've pitched to people. We put together like a film or a video pitch that's kind of a graphic novel style, but like a motion graphic novel, and explain the core concept of the film and what we're looking for, where the money would go. I think that people like the idea that we're doing all the music ourselves. We're trying to do things. We're doing all the location scouting. We're going to be shooting in a lot of abandoned buildings. And the Dayton, Cincinnati area has a really great film community. A lot of short film directors are in this area. Not a ton of features are being made here, but I think that's changing. We have a good amount of talent. The actors and the musicians in this area are phenomenal, and they just get overlooked on the bigger market. So we're excited to get on set. My two favorite things, I'd rather be in the studio writing or on set with the actors. You
started mainly just writing. Like, how did you find the transition to doing the more of the producing side and putting all this other stuff together?
So my degree is in organizational leadership, with like nonprofits. And I've been on the board of a arts council here in the area. I was a vice president of the arts council here for a couple of years. And I also worked with several youth organizations, community youth organizations. And so my background is really in leadership in those frameworks of community support, building initiatives with other organizations, putting on large-scale events, budgets, like all that kind of stuff. So like it really kind of translates really well into the producing side of things. I don't mind talking, obviously. So especially with something that I'm passionate about, I think you guys probably understand.
Yeah,
I mean, Chris seems like a chatterbox. But...
Oh, Chris is on? Oh, hey, Chris.
Chris lacks passion. We've been talking about that in 2025.
Yeah.
Chris. Who's Chris?
Once I start talking about stuff like that, I just get real passionate about it. And I don't, like I said, with Pat, he's the visionary and I'm the one that makes it happen. I get the shit done so that he can make the dream come true kind of thing.
Do you have to tell him no?
Yeah.
Does he throw things at you? You're like, dude, that's not happening.
Like even with the first project, we shot that, like I said, we shot it on film. And if we had shot it the way he wanted to, it would have been like a $10 million movie. I think we shot it for about $17,000 total. So, I mean,
oh, wow.
the price of a compact car. That being said, a lot of times we have to write drunk, edit sober. Yeah. A lot of times I still have that editor vibe, going where he'll pitch something to me. I'll be like, how are we going to make that happen on our budget? Mm-hmm. I try to reel him in a little bit. Like, I'm cool with that, but I need you to think practically for a second. Sometimes it's scaling back certain aspects of a scene in order to maximize the impact with the least amount of money.
That's one thing I just never knew about, like, producing. I was talking to my wife. I was like, oh, we have a producer on today. You know what they do? She's like, no. It seems like a lot of project management.
Well, he's not an executive producer, right? And that's the big title.
The executive producer, and I won't bash executive producers, but they're the money people. Okay. When you see the name executive producer, that person bought. Hold up. That person contributed financially. That person contributed financially to make this project happen. Now, with a company like ours, the producer, my title is I'm the guy on set that is making sure that things run smoothly, right, so that the director can focus on the creative side of things. Like that, he's only focused on what's in camera. I'm focused on everything else. And there's other types of producers that you can bring on board. There's people called line producers, which is more budgetary. And so you have somebody that only focuses on money in, money out, daily expenses, things like that. You have, people who are only over the below the line. So like people who are the crew, craft services, people who that person's like your production manager. We're all producers in a way. But it's basically like a catch-all title for we got shit done.
Go to me for questions and answers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And on a small team, I mean, it's Pat and I, and then we have two other people with us, Via Lorraine, who is up in Columbus. She's our casting director. And then Taylor Smith is graphic designer, and he's also helping with the diegetic noise, like the music or the sounds that are going to be audio within the film that are, your Foley work and your, music that might be playing on a radio in a scene. He's helping us with that. He's also doing the score. So anything that's ambient music in the background, he's going to be working on that.
So you brought up sound. I just kind of want to get your opinion on like the use of AI.
I knew this was going to come up.
Because I've just been hearing a lot. Because like I don't know if you've been following like the whole thing about the Brutalists.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I haven't read up completely on it, but from what I've gathered is they used AI to enhance the accents. They were using a Hungarian accent.
Yeah.
From what I read, is a really difficult accent for non-native speaking people, and they used AI to enhance the accent to make it more authentic. And it's questionable, Right. I mean, you've got actors who
they have dialect coaches for this reason.
Exactly. There are dialect coaches for a reason. If the actors couldn't nail it, don't start shooting yet.
Maybe he wasn't the best actor for the role.
Right. I see a lot of people kind of freaking out about AI
especially with writing and stuff as well. Because I know a lot of people just accuse at this point any new Netflix movie that comes out, AI must have written it because it's gonna be it's almost algorithmic. Yeah.
It's all plug and play. It's like it's like give me a script about a woman who is a corporate ladder climber in New York, and she goes to a small town in Maine, and it spits out like your Hallmark typical Christmas movie.
And what's Glenn Powell doing right now? let's get him on the phone.
And how did you know I wanted to see The Rock and Gal Gadot? It's just amazing.
Is Ryan Reynolds busy? But no, AI is an interesting thing in the filmmaking world because I think a lot of people are worried about it, like taking jobs, obviously.
Right.
But I think the greater aspect is like eliminating the humanity from the art. I think that's something that is more of a concern for me.
Yeah.
I see AI as a tool if you lean on it too heavily, it'll be obvious. So like
Right.
if you're throwing every filter and every bypass and equalizer, this sounds artificial. It doesn't sound right.
Why do I sound like Lord now? What's going on?
Exactly. Or, in film editing, you get people that love, I could throw a transition here that's a star wipe, and it's like, okay.
Sounds like my PowerPoints in high school.
Exactly. If you use it as a tool and you use it sparingly and responsibly, I don't have a problem with it. I think that the problem is when people think that nobody will know. I'll use ChatGPT to write my whole script. And it's like, okay, but when there's no humanity in that script, when those characters sound like robots, when it sounds like they're trying to sound like humans, like
yes, yeah,
it's like, what would a human say in this situation? It's going to be pretty obvious. I think that you can use it responsibly to help you organize your thoughts. I think you can use it responsibly to analyze what you've already written and give you feedback. As like you could tell ChatGPT, read this scene as if you are a movie critic. Let me know if there's any plot holes or weaknesses in the character that I should focus on.
You're gonna see me arguing with ChatGPT. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
But I have used ChatGPT to create pitch ideas and business ideas, and give me 10 fundraising ideas that we could be using right now that we haven't thought of yet. One of the things that I do when I use an AI like that is I never use the first result that it spits out.
Right.
Continuously refine it so that each iteration gets closer to the messaging that you're looking for. Get to the voice that you would present if you were writing this. It's just a tool to help you use it. The way I look at it is those who adapt to new technologies will lead the next movement of innovation, but those who drag their feet will be left behind, or they'll begrudgingly need to catch up in some way in order just to compete. And nobody likes to be behind when they have to stay relevant. I don't want to lose my job because I didn't adapt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is a niche market for these things.
Absolutely there is.
Because it'll never fully go away, but I mean, it won't be the mainstream.
David Fincher and Christopher Nolan love shooting on film. Darren Aronofsky loves shooting on film.
Yeah.
But they will use digital filmmaking. They will use compositing and CG, and they have adapted in a way that works with their voice, their tone, their style. There are some filmmakers, I haven't watched it yet. Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis.
I have not watched that either.
I just watched a video on YouTube last night of a group of guys that they break down visual effects, and oh my God, that movie looks like a fever dream. I really feel like somebody should have given him a lot less leeway and said, no, let's rein this in.
But I feel like a lot of directors, they get to a certain point where they have so many hits and they're such a big name.
Yes.
They just show up and people just go, here's some money, go do what you got to do.
Coppola basically funded that movie himself. It was like $140 million, and he funded it. It's only made about $14 million back.
Kevin Costner just did this whole thing, which is a whole story on its own of just like, hey, I'm going to fund this big Western movie. It's going to be amazing. It better do well.
And it bombed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a trilogy, and obviously the other two movies are probably not going to get made. But you're right. I think that at a certain point, like, some of these guys have the track record that says we should trust them with this. But we're not asking for $140 million for our project. So if any investors want to, jump on board with us, they can definitely do that.
I mean, you should be focused on Gladiator 3, not Speakeasy.
I did not say I knew him. I said he touched me on the shoulder once.
How do you decide if something's done or good enough? Like, at what point are you like, yes, that was
when
great.
The money runs out.
Okay.
When there's no more money in the bank. No, I mean, obviously when you're shooting, you have, your final last scene, that you got everything else in the can. And after that, there might be pickups, which are like little interstitial shots that help connect a scene, or exteriors. You might pick those up after you've shot all the cast stuff. But for the most part, when you're done with the cast, you're not going to ask them to come back because they're going to move on to another project. So you need to make sure that once you get, that last scene with the cast, once you get it shot, you got to make sure that you're done with it at that point.
Could you come back and do this in Spanish?
Well, I mean, on our first project, the lead actor, he and his wife moved from the Cincinnati, Dayton area to LA during our post-production. So we were editing while they were moving, and we realized that we needed him to have a few off-screen voiceover lines that we needed to add. So we taught him how to do it through GarageBand on his laptop, and then just send us the raw file, man. But we were really low budget at that point. So, and that film, I joke about it. It was our what we looked at as our film school, like a student project. It was intended to be like an hour and a half feature film, but due to post-production issues, some other unhappy accidents, and the fact that one of our crew members got arrested by the FBI.
It happens.
Yeah, he was part of the PayPal anonymous takedown. They did a DDoS attack on PayPal back in like 2010 or 2012.
Oh
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, we instantly scrubbed him from our website. We're like, we don't know who this guy is. Yeah. We've never heard of him. But the film eventually ended up becoming a 20-minute short, which we're still proud of, and it works really well. But it's not exactly what we had anticipated. And when you're shooting on film, the film becomes a commodity that you are constantly aware of, because every take means that you've lost that amount of film. You can't use that film anymore.
Right.
Whereas when you shoot digitally, you could go delete, take 2.
Yeah.
So every time you shoot on film, it's like, there's that much film we can't shoot on now.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do 10 takes.
Especially if you're looking at the budget that closely.
We got a great deal back then on film, and we actually got 2 different film stock companies bidding lower for us. Like they were like in a little bit of like a bidding war. We could do this. We could do this. And so we kind of did a little bit of like positioning them against each other. Said, well, company A said that they could give us 2 for the price of 1. Can you do that? Yeah, we could do 2 for the price of 1. All right. Well, company B said they could give us 2 for the price of 1. Can you do that? And they're like, yeah, we could do that. So like we were trying to get a little bit, and we did get a great deal out of them. This project, we have the budget. All the actors are going to be paid what they're worth, because we feel like that's a really important piece of it. We have great cast and crew. And, our 4 actors that are playing our band members, not only are all of our actors that are playing musicians, in fact, great musicians themselves, like all of the songs that Pat and I are writing, we're going to record demos for, and then we're going to have them record that band, that fictional band. It's called the Riot Police, record a studio album that we can then put out and distribute, to have an album of a fictional band be able to be put out there in the streaming world and the mass market.
That is pretty cool.
They just did that. Was it when that show Daisy Jones and the Six came out?
I heard that. That's really cool.
They're on my Spotify.
I haven't seen it yet, but I heard it's really good. I haven't seen it yet.
It's really good. It's like someone just wrote a bunch of fan fiction about Fleetwood Mac.
Which, I mean, hey, if you're going to write a fan fiction about a band, there's a lot you could write about Fleetwood Mac. They were crazy, like incestual. So there's like a lot of, not incestual like brother sister, but like relationships within the band.
Yeah.
Not Kentucky incestual.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kentucky.
So where can people see some of the projects that you've already done? Or
right now we're still building our YouTube channel. Pat has done a ton of music videos for Sofa Burn Records. If you check out sofaburnrecords.com, you can check them out on YouTube, or you can find us at speakeasythemovie.com. We'll have links to our Instagram and our YouTube page there. There's also a link to our GoFundMe campaign. And if people want to contact us about investment opportunities, they can contact us at contact@echoeterna.com. It's ECHOETERNA.com. Echo Eterna, all one word.
Like, how do you, like, is it something that like goes through like an indie movie circuit of just like specific theaters,
like distribution, like what we're looking for post-production?
Yeah.
So what we have in mind is to do a like kind of a grassroots distribution model where we'll work with independent theaters and college campus theaters and like take it on the road, do a Q&A, like show the film and do like a Q&A, hopefully with more than just Pat and myself, because he won't talk and I'll do all the talking.
You can take Chris if you need him.
I can smile.
But hopefully that would drum up some support. But we'll also be entering into several film festivals. We've got a couple people that we're connected to who have connections to some of the film festivals as far as the programmers who do with a film festival. The programmers are the people who watch all of the films that come through. So they'll decide if this one goes on to be showcased at the film festival. But from there, distributors and post-production distributor companies like A24, they don't typically put a lot of money into production. They buy a film after it's already been made, and then they slap their name on it, and then they do a marketing campaign, and everybody's like, oh, if A24 believes in this, then it must be pretty good because they put out quality stuff. There's also what's called the film market, and it's basically like every filmmaker's worst nightmare. It's like you take your film, you go to the quote film market, and you basically tell people why they should buy your movie.
I'm picturing like a Facebook marketplace of movies.
but live.
I got a movies here, guys.
And raw honey if you're interested.
And raw honey. I've got some crafts that are, up on the back. We did some woodworking.
Sourdough, and I got a sourdough and a movie.
But
that's cool.
And then there's always the streaming platform way to go, and you don't make a big splash with streaming content anymore because a lot of people have access to putting their content on a streaming platform. It used to be that if you could get like on Amazon or Netflix or Hulu, like that was a big deal, and it still is, but it's pretty saturated. And so, I don't know if you've ever looked for something to watch and it's like, no.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you guys wanted to work on AI, like find something that will like recommend stuff that I actually want to watch
across all platforms.
Well, Mike, this has been an amazing and eye-opening conversation we had together. We appreciate you coming on to talk to us.
You.
Absolutely.
Just once again, if someone wants to reach out to you, where can they find you and your work?
Most of our stuff is available through speakeasythemovie.com. You can find us on Instagram at speakeasythemovie or at Instagram on Echo Eterna. I also have an independent page for myself. It's Mike Writes Movies. And so you can also find me there, Mike Writes Movies on Instagram.
All right. Thanks
a lot, Mike.
Thank you.
Guys, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Again, I want to say thank you to Michael Box for joining us. Check out his website, speakeasythemovie.com and echoeterna.com, and drop him a follow at Speakeasy the Movie and at Mike Writes Movies. And if you're interested in helping his passion come alive, just reach out to him. I'm sure he'd appreciate it. Final thoughts, Chris?
I have no idea in that field, that industry, so it was good learning. Again, it was pretty cool. It was actually really cool to hear on his side and his industry and about what happens and other stuff that you have to go through to make a movie.
Rob?
Nah, you can tell Mike's a professional. Just him talking about his ideas of his characters, how he writes, taking it through, explaining to us like the difference in producing and basically managing these movies. I mean, from the beginning to the end. And then going on to talk about distribution and what his plans are for these things. You take for granted what that, 90-minute film takes, Everything is calculated. These guys are thinking about this. and it's refreshing to hear. It's stuff that gets lost in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, that idea of you created something, you know it's good, this is your vision, and either people are going to accept it or not even give it a chance. I mean, it's like kind of like our episodes when we put them out. There's some I love, mostly mine, you know. And
listen, someone wrote Joker 2, and they thought that was a great idea. So I'm kidding. Joker 2, I didn't even watch this movie.
Me too.
So we want to thank you for listening, but we need your help. If you enjoyed this episode, I want you to find that share button and send this podcast to a friend, a loved one, or your gym crush who will absolutely not find that creepy at all. And while you're clicking, hit subscribe to stay updated on new episodes. Until next time, stay curious. Later.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?